Hello, this video is part 2 of completing the square. We will be converting from standard form, the one I just circled, here's the formula also, to vertex form, which our answer should look kind of like this last circle. So we will start by looking at the shapes. If you don't know what the shapes are for, look at part 1 of this video. We will start by looking at the x square. So we are told that we have two big squares of size area x squared. So here they are, x squared. Now to get the area of x squared, we need to multiply x times x. They're exactly the same because they are squares. So is this one. We then move on to the rectangles. We have negative 8x right here. That tells us how many rectangles we have. We have to divide it up evenly into the two squares that we have. So negative 8x. How do I draw a negative rectangle? Well, I draw a regular rectangle and I put a negative number as the area. And so dividing this evenly gets us negative 4x, negative 4x. We have to then divide it again and add 2x, negative 2x to one side and negative 2x to another. The reason for that is we want to keep having a square. So we have to divide them evenly. That means that this side is negative 2, and so is this one. Same applies to the other figure. Each one having an area of negative 2x, and this side is negative 2, this side is negative 2. We also need to determine how many unit squares, that would be how many 1 by 1 squares, we have to complete the square. Well, let's start part B, which is determining the formula. Now, if you look at both the standard form and the vertex form, A in both cases is the same. That tells us how many squares we have. So that means our formula starts with having 2. We then need to know the length of each of the sides of the square. That would be from here to there. So from this corner to this corner, the length is x. Then we have a minus 2 from this corner to this corner. So we are subtracting 2 from the x. And that would be every side length because they're all squares and squares have equal sides. Now when we get the area, we're trying to get the area of the big square. And by big, I mean the whole thing that we're getting. We need to multiply two sides. We determine the one side is x minus 2. Since it's a square, the other side is also x minus 2. A shorter notation for that would be to write x minus 2 with an exponent telling us how many we have. Because we have 2, the exponent is a 2. So we have x minus 2 squared. Now is the turn of the unit squares. So the problem, the original problem, tells us how many we have. In this case, we have negative 4 unit squares. This means that we have already borrowed 4, and that's why we have negative 4. If we want to complete the square, we need to figure out how many we have in each of the empty sections. Now, if we multiply negative 2 times negative 2, that would give you that each one has 4 unit squares. If you add them all up, that would be 8. So to complete the square, we want 8. Every time we want, we need to borrow. Borrow means negative. So we will be borrowing 8. So let me put this right here. The want is always negative. We have negative 4. We want negative 8. In reality, we need, combine those two, that tells us how many we need. We need negative 12. And that's how many I will be putting at the formula. So this is our answer.